only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as usual by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Huffner.
and of course the demented and fermented,
Wayne Baker.
Now today we have traveled a little further than the last time we recorded.
A little bit, yeah.
At least for me and Wayne.
It's about equal for me.
Yeah, guess so.
Is it really? Well, compared to last episode.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant equal for you as it was for us, because it took us like 2.5 hours to get here.
No.
Okay,
Just
cool.
think of every time I drive to Philly on a Friday night.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I don't feel bad for you.
But we have driven to Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, right outside of good old Harrisburg. We've been many, many times. But that means today we are, of course, at Ever Grain Brewing, and I'm very excited to be here. It's been almost a year since I've been here, which is scary to think about because time is going by way too quickly.
I guarantee you it's been less than a year.
Well, that's why I
More
said
to come.
almost a year, and there's, yes, more to come. But we have somebody with us who, people who have a keen ear for this kind of thing will remember. He was on the show before, but we have with us
Bruce Tanner.
Bruce, thank you for coming up to the show with us.
Thank you guys.
And thanks for having us out here, man. I'm super excited to be back, and I hate that it's taken me this long to get back here. I was here a couple of days before Halloween last year. I don't know why I remember that, but that's where the almost year comes into play. And I think we did a flight, and it was every beer that you had, and every single one of them just blew me away. They were fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so of course, thanks for having us back out here, man.
Likewise.
Looking forward to what's coming up. We have a lot we have to get to. We haven't done this in a very long time. Don't forget, you can always visit beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook. It's just Beer Busters Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Beer Busters, Twitter at Beer Busters. I think we have Google+. Does that
We
still
do,
exist?
but nobody uses it. We
Yeah.
also have a MySpace, but
Wow.
Wait, we do.
fair enough. I mean,
Do we have like a live journal also?
we probably we should.
Yeah.
we should.
But speaking of that, beerbusterspodcast.com, don't forget, there's a lot of articles we have on there. We're more than just a podcast, guys.
Yeah.
We're a well-oiled machine that likes to do everything relating to craft beer.
That's right. We got brewery profiles, beer reviews, news, events, all kinds of stuff.
Most of it's Steph. I'll try to get an article out every now and then. Wayne does the same.
Once in a while.
Once in a while.
Wayne's good at posting press releases.
That is
Yeah,
true.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, it is pretty easy. But yeah, definitely reach out to us. I mean, we want to hear from you guys. We want to know what's going on in your world. And don't forget also that you can text us or leave a voicemail. Now, there's one person who, in particular, does that a lot. And, of course, we love this guy.
The one and only, that's no baloney.
Joe Man himself. But you can text us. You can leave a voicemail. Our phone number is 805-991-BEER. That's 805-991-2337. That's another way to connect. I don't know of anybody else that does a freaking phone number for a podcast. Call us. Leave a voicemail.
We're awesome.
Maybe we'll play it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Call us while you're out drinking with your friends at your favorite brewery. Tell us what
Yes,
you're drinking.
tell
Tell
us
us
Those
what
are
you're
the
doing.
best messages.
Call us while you're listening to the podcast.
Yeah. Call us anytime.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Call me maybe.
Yeah, call me maybe. Hey, I just met you. But yeah, beerbusterspodcast.com, at beerbusters on the tweets and the Instagrams, and Beer Busters Podcast on Facebook. And of course, another website you should go to.
Yes, as long as you're showing love for Beer Busters, one of the best and most mutually beneficial ways that you can support the podcast is to become a patron on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/beerbusters, you can learn more, but for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to behind-the-scenes content, bonus content like podcast outtakes, and our new bonus podcast segment, Beer Busters Last Call, which we record at the end of every podcast recording that only our patrons get to hear. If you want
Just
to
for
learn
you.
how you can get access to this and so much more, go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
I also just sent a invite to our patrons for an upcoming episode that only patrons will be invited to.
Awesome.
VIP occasions.
And there's different levels of patrons that you can be for different rewards. And we haven't said about this in a while, but what is it, $50 a month?
Yeah, if you
Wookiee
Oh,
onesie?
shit. I thought this went away.
no, this did
No.
not go away. The first person to sign up on Patreon at the $50 pledge level will get Steph to wear a Wookiee Chewbacca onesie to at least one podcast recording. Perhaps
in
the
the
rest
winter.
of them
Sold.
for the rest of time.
There we
Yeah.
go. It's going to be Bruce. Well, we do have a lot going in front of us, so let's get into this. A lot has happened this week in the world of craft beer, and I didn't realize it until I went to look for news this morning for this episode.
Yeah, just go on our Facebook feed. I've been
Yes.
sharing a lot
It's
of
been
crazy
like
You
shit.
have.
blink and you miss it kind of week.
Yeah.
I blinked a lot this week then. First off, I want to get into some good news regarding the growth of craft beer. So there's a lot that is happening, and with the Brewers Association, they put out their mid-year growth report. It's up 5% for the entire industry. The growth pace for small and independent brewers has stabilized at a rate that still reflects progress, but in a more mature market.
Yeah, but it's less than the last 2 years. Significantly less than 2 years ago.
It is overall, yes, but we still have more breweries open now. We're still at another record
More
high.
breweries is not necessarily a good thing, people.
I know. It's not necessarily a
More
sign of
beer
economic...
does not mean better beer. Doesn't mean good beer.
Right. Quality over quantity. But as of June 30th, there were 5,562 operating breweries, as Bruce shakes his head.
Wow. Every time I hear the number, it blows me away.
Yeah.
It's always bigger. It
it's
always
absurd.
blows me away.
I want to know when we get to more per capita than before Prohibition, because considering we have...
We have a lot more people.
Yeah, there's
we
what,
have 300 million people in the United States, 5,000 breweries. You guys can do the math. Call us and leave us a message and tell us what the answer is.
I can't do the math, that's for damn sure.
If only we had devices that could do the math.
Yes.
Sure.
That is an increase of 906 breweries from the same period last year. Additionally, there were approximately 2,739 breweries in planning.
That's absurd.
It's... When does the bubble burst?
If your friends tell you, hey, you should open a brewery, don't listen to them.
Well, not necessarily. Take their advice into consideration, but shop your beer around to purely objective people. You want to get the best feedback that you can, not, oh, yeah, your beer's good, and then... You know, you can trust your family to an extent.
Everyone loves free beer.
Yeah. You guys were honest when I made my Mr. Beer. Thank you for...
Yeah, that was hard.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
absolute utter shit.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah. Craft brewers currently employ an estimated 128,768 full and part-time workers in a variety of roles, including numerous manufacturing jobs, all of which, of course, contribute significantly to the economy. So we're up and we're down, sort of. The growth wasn't the same year over year compared to a few years, like Steph pointed out. We do have more breweries, but I guess that in turn means more jobs. So
Well,
these
yeah,
things
and
That's
I
a
mean,
good thing.
Yeah.
You talked about the bubble bursting, but I mean, aside from something so dramatic, there is an adjustment when an industry grows so rapidly, so quickly. There's going to come at least a plateau, if not a crash. And I think we're getting to the point where there are soon going to be. We're going to cross the point where there's more breweries than economics and communities can support. You know, there's going to be a turning point.
Yeah, and we've mentioned it many times, but clearly the industry is evolving, and it's kind of cool to see it from the inside, I suppose. I guess you consider us inside the industry. And I mean, you as owning a brewery, or being part of a brewery, you know, it's... So what if you see a lot of breweries open up in the Harrisburg area?
Sure.
When do you consider it too much? Because there's a lot. Harrisburg is booming with beer, which is great.
Sure.
But when do you say it's too many?
Well, I mean, one quick caveat: I don't own the brewery.
That's why. That's why I corrected myself.
I am the brewmaster, just so all the listeners know. But I'm very proud to be that, and I do work for two amazing owners. So that being said, as far as too many breweries, I mean, I would never really make that call, but it does seem that. You know, I don't want to say the cream rises to the top, but, you know, lots of people can set up, and lots of people have set up and have come and gone, and some people have set up and stuck around. And I think, you know, the quality of beer sort of dictates that. Quality of beer, and then atmosphere of tasting rooms and atmosphere of branding and things like that. And I think breweries that really weren't meant to be there to make it are going to kind of Darwin themselves, and we see that happening, and we've seen that happen kind of for years, and I think that's the way it will go. I don't think we'll get to the point where there's just too many awesome breweries around. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I think a part of it also, like, I think the reason that the number of breweries has continued, like the number of breweries opening has continued to outpace those closing, is because a lot of new breweries are also like destinations. They're places to hang out. There's a lot more emphasis on tap rooms and brew pubs and not distribution.
And
There's a lot
event
of
spaces.
In-house, and events and music and all kinds of community events and things like that. And I think that is still a market that I think has room in a lot of places because it's very hyper local. Like, it's that cool watering hole. It's that spot. Like, rather than going to the corner bar, go to the neighborhood brewery. It's just a cooler experience, you know, a lot of times. And I think that's the reason why we haven't tipped, because I think a lot more new breweries are focused
more about
on
the
that,
experience,
as opposed to regional or national distribution isn't really in the plan for a lot of young breweries, at least not anytime in the very near future.
And now that we're having multiple breweries open up in certain towns and cities, like Phoenixville.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people not from this area would have known where Phoenixville was? But now they have so many freaking breweries and more breweries opening that craft beer lovers are starting to travel there simply to go and hop around and visit all of the breweries, which is really cool. And it's bringing a lot of business and a lot of attention to the town of Phoenixville, which is awesome.
Yeah, and Wayne, to your point about not going to the local bar but going to the brewery, even around us, I used to love going to Taproom 119th. Mm-hmm. Great restaurant, great bar, awesome food, awesome beer selection. But now that we have 2 breweries within walking distance of our house, I'd rather go there.
Although another caveat to that is that there are a lot of really awesome beer bars in Philly, too.
That's true. I don't want to take away from any of those. I mean, Lord knows Monk's always gets voted as one of the best in the country.
Yeah, I mean, we were just at Local 44,
who's
is
also
awesome
fantastic,
spot.
of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, so there's still a place for that as well. But, yeah, I think that's... And then, like, when you have... so many breweries opening in a smaller community like Phoenixville, the great thing about the craft beer industry is they all support each other, they all work off each other's success, the whole rising tide lifts all boats. However, it does also eat away each brewery's individual share of the market. I mean, so there's still going to come a point where even if you're not like aggressively competitive in your business tactics, you're still competing for the same people, the same drinkers, the same dollars.
And the worst of the bunch can bring the rest down, because if that's someone's first experience with craft beer, or even their most recent experience with craft beer, they might turn away from craft beer and go back to whatever they were drinking, or not want to visit that area again because they had a bad experience. So while I agree they can all help lift everyone else up, they also have to take that responsibility and realize that the product that they're putting out and their reputation can affect the reputation of the breweries around them as well.
And to return to a point that we got into very deeply not too long ago on this podcast at Stickman, another thing is like with these huge trend beers, like hazy IPAs right now that everybody is flocking to, it's easy to open a brewery, brew those kind of beers, and get people in the door. Like, that's a quick, easy plan. And I wonder if having so many breweries actually makes those sorts of trends more entrenched. Like where if you had like 2 or 3 local breweries that all kind of focused on different styles, people would, sort of, for lack of a better term, be forced to explore different things. Whereas if you have 10 breweries that are all serving IPAs, then the next brewery that opens like, well, I have to serve IPAs too because that's what everybody else is doing. And there's 10 of them, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that plays into...
Nope, we're bringing Pilsner back.
Yes.
That's my life goal right now.
Yes.
I want every brewery to make a damn good Pilsner.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen. Yeah,
me too.
In other news, lots of things that happened. I don't know which one that you think I'm going to...
I saw the cover image.
San Francisco's beloved 121-year-old brewery and creator of the city's arguably most famous beer, Anchor Brewing, is being sold to Japan's Sapporo Holdings in a landmark deal. We have another one that is being bought up by another conglomeration. At least this one isn't AB InBev, but it's still a sign of the times.
I don't even know what I think of all of this anymore.
It's so weird.
Every time I think I have an opinion on all these buyouts, then some... I don't
changes.
know. I don't even know.
totally agree.
I don't know. So I'm sure people that have consistently listened to our podcast being like, well, she said that in this episode, and then she said this. I don't know what my opinion is.
I think we've
anymore.
all flip-flopped overall.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started this podcast, and it's something I've said a million times, how much I like Goose Island beers. And back in the day, we used to always say, yeah, it's owned by AB InBev, but they're really good beers. I don't care. I'm going to drink good beer because the quality of the beer is what matters. And then as more and more acquisitions come out, then we started saying, well, independence matters. And then it becomes... And then another thing is, I feel like it becomes... Like, the cool thing used to be to say, oh, but do you know who actually owns that brewery? You shouldn't be drinking that. It's owned by AB InBev. But now so many people are aware of that, and so many people are saying that, and now I feel like the cool thing to say is, oh, it doesn't matter. It's still good beer. Like, it goes back and forth. And it's just
So you just want to be cool.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the way I see it, and at least where I'm at now with it, is if it's a good beer, drink it. And we mentioned it last time. I think we were talking about some sort of acquisitions again when we were at Local 44. Mm-hmm. When you and I were in Vegas, how many times did we drink at that Goose Island bar?
Yeah.
And every beer was great. If they don't touch
Well, you were in freaking Vegas, and I'm sorry, but the breweries in Vegas are not that good.
Well, we only went to two actual breweries.
The breweries in Henderson are actually pretty good, and I wish you guys would have gone to some of the breweries in Henderson.
Mud Shark?
No,
but we went to
Mud Shark?
Yeah,
I've
Mud
never heard
Shark's
of
good.
that.
Yeah.
I need to add that to my
Love
list.
Lady.
Love Lady.
Love Lady was great.
I enjoyed Love Lady a lot.
So our uncle and our grandfather.
He's
lived
like
in
Norm
Vegas.
there too. Like we walk in, everybody knows.
Everybody
That's who you
knows
want to
him.
go to the bar with.
Yeah. In fact, they don't apparently sell kegs to anybody, but he has a keg of their pumpkin beer on reserve already.
Yeah.
And this was the end of June when we were there.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
It's
Now,
their beers.
now everyone knows where we get it from.
Yeah, right. Their beer is great, but I think I'm currently if it's a good beer, drink it, because life is too short to drink a beer you think is bad. So just drink whatever you want. Maybe
I just want to try as many freaking beers as I most possibly can, and
But-
if it's not good, I'm just not going to finish
But there's
it.
always
That's true.
beers that you're gonna go back to.
And I also think there's two sides. There's if you're approaching it as a consumer who's interested in exploring and experiencing lots of really good beer, then you're not really going to care if Elysian and 10 Barrel and Wicked Weed are owned by AB InBev if they're still making fantastic beers. But if you're someone who's concerned about the health of the beer industry, one of the things that I read recently that kind of swayed my ever pendulum swinging opinion on the matter, much like Steph, was a lot of times people say, like when Wicked Weed was purchased, like now their beers can be more widely distributed. They can reach a wider audience. The beer's still going to be good, but now it has a big corporation behind its distribution channels. But the flip side of that is the new markets that they enter into, they're then squeezing out the small breweries in those markets.
And that's a valid point too. And we somewhere along the way, and I'm sure many times, we've had people mention shelf space and how that's the premium. And even back when AB InBev was reportedly doing some shady deals to get more, before they had bought all of these other breweries, they were doing shady things to make sure they had like the end caps on display, and they kicked other people out. That's a valid thing. But then it goes back to what he said earlier about if it's a local thing, it's about the experience. So yes, you'll have some beers that are more widely distributed and widely available, but you also have places that you can come, like Ever Grain, and have a cool atmosphere, a whole board full of awesome beers, and cool food from a place off to the side, and distribution may or may not be a thing that's in the immediate channels.
And that's what it's about for me. I think everyone knows we just came back from the 6,500-mile road trip, and it was utterly amazing. But honestly, the way that I got into the heart and soul at each and every one of those cities and towns that we visited is we always went to the breweries that the locals recommended.
Yeah.
And, I think of... I guess it was outside of St. Louis. I need Rich because he doesn't drink, so he remembers everything. Side Project. I went to Side Project. It wasn't even a place that I was planning to visit, but, I had friends who were like, oh, you're in St. Louis, you need to go to this place. And sitting at that bar and drinking those sour beers was one of the most amazing things ever. Surly, holy shit. In Minneapolis. That is literally
awesome
one of the most amazing breweries I've ever been to. And then I did the new brew review this week, and I've learned the backstory of Surly and how he's like the Sam Calzone of freaking Minnesota, how they literally changed the laws just so they could build this amazing facility. I've been to thousands of breweries. It takes a lot for me to walk into a facility and my jaw drop. And I didn't want to leave that place. It was utterly amazing. And, those are the experiences as a craft beer drinker that I yearn for. And that's why I love traveling and visiting these places. And, and I hope that the places like Wicked Weed and Goose Island and these breweries that are being bought up can continue to give those experiences to people.
And so I think arguably, especially in this specific location that we're in, I think we can all agree that Trogs is probably the biggest brewery that we have in the area, barring Yingling out in Pottsville,
Trogs,
barring Victory
Trogs,
down there in Downingtown.
Trogs is definitely the biggest.
One of the largest,
aside from Yingling, that's not owned by another umbrella of some sort. Because Victory is now
right. Well, Victory's
part of
with which
Southern Tier.
There's
Southern
something
Tier,
to go sort of in with that in a second.
Yes,
but there's an experience with that, and I know we mentioned when we had you on at Little Big Beer Fest, and Bruce. You have your experience with Trogs.
Sure.
And clearly there's an influence of Trogs here where we are. But I really like going to Trogs. And
for sure.
I do
people,
too. I still go there as often as I can.
Every time I'm in Hershey.
Sure.
It's this big jaw-dropping facility. Now that they have the
Splinter Cellar.
Yeah, now they have the Splinter Cellar. And, if you get to do a tour, you get a beer there, you go through everything, and it's still such a cool place to go, and the food is great, and it's a jaw-dropping experience from the second you walk in, especially now that they have more parking, thank you friggin' God. But That's another one. So, like the one you had in Minneapolis, that to me is the one locally that we can point to for that. Now, admittedly, I haven't been to Victory, believe it or not.
Wait, what?
I know. I haven't even
None
been to
of
the
them?
No,
Really?
I haven't.
It's another jaw dropper. Gigantic brew house.
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely go.
Good. It's on the
Go to
radar.
all of them.
Yeah.
Although
While you're at it.
where were we at, the Kennett Square
Kennett
one?
Square.
Well,
Yeah, the
Go
food,
to
I heard the
Downingtown.
rumors.
the food portions there are a little small for what you pay if you're listening, Victory.
Downingtown's still my favorite, and that's where we met Joe Man.
Yes, that is where we met you, man.
yes,
Yeah.
you guys did. I still haven't met him.
But yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, and it's another one that's in the landscape of beers that are being bought up. Now, Wayne, when you were mentioning, of course, that Victory and Southern Tier have their thing, 3 breweries that are relatively...
One of which I was just at.
You were. 3 breweries that are relatively well known, to an extent, are joining forces.
Oh, I've been to all 3 of them, actually.
Yeah. Brooklyn Brewing has invested in... Brooklyn Brewery has invested in 21st Amendment and Funkworks. It's an effort to compete more
Funkworks
aggressively
is legit.
with large beer conglomerates and various private equity-backed brewing groups. These 3 small brewers have joined forces to create a nationwide sales and distribution platform that will include more than 150 sales personnel and brand ambassadors covering 38 states, which I think is pretty impressive. Brooklyn Brewery, along with California's 21st Amendment and Colorado's Funkworks, have announced that they have this combined sales team, which is going to be led by Brooklyn VP of Business Development, Dave Duffy, which there was Funkworks, they only had 2 salespeople, and they distributed to like 7 or 8 states, which I thought was really interesting going through reading this article. But now they have more than 150 combined that are going to cover the 3 brands. So it's not totally unlike what Victory and Southern Tier are doing.
That's what I was going to ask, if it was similar to that.
It didn't seem like, is that, if I remember right, was more of just a private equity-backed joint venture between the 2
So
of them.
it's okay that I'm excited about this?
I think
I don't even know how to
I'm
feel about
excited.
this
Yeah,
stuff
it's so
anymore.
weird.
That's the
It's
thing.
so
We're gonna
weird
get
anymore.
Funkworks beer over here.
Hell yeah, that's
sounds
the
like
first thing
it.
I
So
thought.
Yeah.
and actually, thanks for tuning me into that. I had no idea that was happening. I knew about the other news so far, but I didn't hear about
You
this.
literally
at all.
heard it here first.
Yeah, I did 100%. Yeah, that's amazing.
So it sounds like what you're saying in this case is that Brooklyn Brewery as a company is investing in these others?
From what I can gather from this article, yes.
Okay, so it's not like an investment firm of some sort.
Yeah,
I
it's-
wonder if you're going to see more things like that, though, like in response.
Well, yeah, because
You know.
you have the big conglomerations, of course, like Sapporo and AB InBev that are clear, and Heineken.
And Miller Coors, who nobody ever talks about.
Well,
Or SAB Miller, whatever it is now.
yeah. Well, because didn't they?
Oh, did they merge? Did that happen? Has it gone through?
I know it
don't
was approved, but
I
I
don't
don't
even
know if
know.
it actually went through.
I don't know that it's official.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know
but
that it is.
assuming
it's
that
gonna happen, though.
assuming that
it's
it
inevitable,
will,
yeah.
AB InBev is going to be clearly the name that they're going to run it under, more than
Sure.
likely. So,
Yeah.
but considering you have major companies like that buying up these smaller brands, which has its ups and downs, clearly, like we've talked about, this is interesting where it's more of a joint force. And we mentioned earlier about community with the craft beer world. So if you have local brewers together who can join force, and yeah, they may compete with each other for now. These are 3 in very distinct parts of the country,
Yeah.
just joining forces to make sure that more people can have each other's beer and get into more shelves. Because you go from like Funkworks, who had 7 or 8 states, now they're in 38, or
Yeah.
could be in 38. So it gets more shelf space for them. But you had mentioned, Wayne, earlier about that kicks somebody
Then that-
local
yeah,
off.
that's-
Where do we draw the line?
eating into. Well, it's interesting. But like there are craft brewers in the U.S. that are large enough to be able to, if they choose to, sort of fight back against these acquisitions by reaching out themselves. I mean, like Stone and Rogue and Dogfish Head are nationally known, still independent craft breweries that, you know, like Brooklyn, have the resources at their disposal to do something in the industry and the market to try and sort of at least establish a firmer ground for smaller independent breweries.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see as time goes on, you know, what these larger breweries do.
It's definitely an interesting time to even look at the craft beer industry, because you have the mergers and acquisitions, you have the Brewers Association having that certified independent label, and then you have other breweries who are well known in their own respect joining forces like this. And I'm glad to see that people are doing things about it and doing what they want to do with their own businesses, which, I mean, let's be honest, if I own a brewery and somebody walks up to me with a say if it's a $500 million check, like with Wicked.
Bajillion.
Somebody walks up to me with $1 million, I'll pretty much sell my soul. Let's be honest.
It don't take much.
$100.
I have some standards.
I think $800,000 is about the low end of my soul.
Low end. But it's cool to see the way that it's playing out, and it's definitely interesting. And I want to keep an eye on more things like this as time goes on, just to see what happens with it, especially this one, because there are 3 awesome breweries, and now they're joining forces to be more nationwide, more readily available. So if we get Funkworks around here, I won't have to wait for Steph to go to Colorado and bring some back.
Now, these are breweries that all bottle, can, distribute. Now, Ever Grain, you're all about come here and drink our beer.
Sure.
And you distribute out it to local bars, I assume, in kegs.
Yes.
So
right now, just kegs.
Is every small brewery like Ever Grain, is the goal to get your beers on shelves everywhere? Or isn't the goal more like come here to our brewery, experience our beer in-house? Or is it more about the experience?
Well, I think first and foremost, speaking for my company, our company, first and foremost, it's about the experience. Like come to the brewery, come to the tasting room, taste our beers. And right now, we do have beer in a local, fairly local kind of ring around our brewery. But that's not the main focus. I mean, a lot of the accounts we have are people that have contacted us specifically that probably came in here and had our beer and liked it and just wanted to carry it. And we certainly obliged and sold them kegs. But first and foremost, our goal is to have people come here because we think our beers are good, but we think our room is cool too.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
it's a whole thing, and we want people to know about that if they can make it here. We don't have any immediate goal to be on every shelf. If there were shelves that would have us that we could support fully, then we'd be all about it. But we never want to be doing anything that we can't fully support. So if somebody in Portland, Maine called us up and said, "Yeah, we'd love to have your beer. We'll pay you anything you want," we'd be flattered, but we might not do it because that would be hard for us to support at this point in time. So we're trying to do things right to keep quality up and to keep customer support up and things like that. And that's the most important thing with a young brewery, I think, because you don't want to let people down.
Now, as far as packaging, you are canning Juice Juicy.
We are.
Is that just brewery exclusive releases?
We sold a lot of it in the brewery. We've only done one canning run so far. We did run one run. It was very successful by our standards. It went very well. We did have beer at a few distributors in the area and a couple of the bars that are very close to us that sell our kegs. They bought some cases, but a few distributors, and then in the brewery. That's mostly where it went.
So is the plan to continue to can Juice Juicy and do more can releases?
Yes and yes. So this is kind of the first public announcement of
hit the button.
I gotta find the button.
Hit the good one.
I'm waiting for.
There's so many buttons.
Here we go.
Exclusive on Beer Busters.
Yes,
there we go.
This is an exclusive for Beer Busters and for everyone else in the world. But Ever Grain recently purchased a canning line, a Cody canning line.
Ooh. That's awesome.
Really nice piece of machinery coming out of Colorado. It should be here in 2 to 4 weeks. Sometimes that gets pushed to 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how manufacturing goes. But it's in its final stages of manufacturing and will be shipped to Pennsylvania and set up here in our back room. To answer the question simply, yes, we're going to continue to can Juice Juicy, and we're going to start canning other beers as well.
The pills.
Pills is going to be one of them.
Gotta have pills in a can, man.
We don't have all of the beers that we're definitely going to do totally finalized, but it's going to be more than just Juice Juicy. You could very well see Fluffhead in a can. You could very well see Surf Breaker in a can. And then really once a canning line's set up, you really just need label approval, and you can can anything you want. Yeah. So we might start with an idea of, we're going to try to can these 5 beers, and then find out we're going to can 10 beers or invent new beers and can them. So, we're going to be canning a lot.
Now, I'm curious, because we've had this conversation and gotten many different answers from many different brewers. Where are you going to keep the cans?
Yeah,
on the roof.
On the roof.
Well, we do
because you have to buy them like in bulk, right?
Oh, like the where am I going to keep the cans before we can them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not, well, you can't see it from here, but the space that we're in right now, it's about 2/3 of this room that we're in now there's another portion of that behind the wall.
Yeah, looking at it now, yeah.
Yeah, so the wall you see is not the back of the building. There's like another wall 30 feet behind that spans almost this length. And there's a bunch of storage back there.
Nice.
So that's where we'll store them. And hopefully, this is a few months down the road, but hopefully once we really get everything commissioned and dialed in and the lines running regularly, we'll be able to get some kind of an inventory kind of flow. The same thing we do with grains and hops and crowlers and growlers and things like that, where you're not over-ordering them. Maybe we get in 8 or 10 skids of cans because we know we're going to be running a bunch for 2 weeks and run them out. And then a week later, maybe order some more. And we should get some type of what they call like a par level where we don't have to store too many of them. But in the event that we had to, we do have some storage here, believe it or not.
That's
awesome.
so
That's
exciting.
Yes, it
Gotta
really
love the
is.
can.
I
Yeah.
just love that the can is cool again.
The can is the coolest.
The can is like
if
that's
you
it.
can't drink a vessel by a pool, then I don't really want it.
I don't
save it
ever-
on a beach that allows
if
you to
a park
drink.
ranger is going to yell at me because I had one in my book bag, I don't want
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Although,
awesome.
I have to say, returning to InBev for a moment, sorry. I never realized this, but when we were on
This
the Bud
episode
tour,
brought to you by
when we were on the tour, they made a very valid point. Like, they made people that wanted to drink out of bottles drink out of cans, and they didn't even realize it. You know how they have those cans that are shaped like bottles?
Oh, yeah. the
Oh,
aluminum
I was
can,
like,
yeah.
holy shit. That was the most genius thing ever.
pretty
Like,
clever.
we don't want to buy cans. Cans aren't cool. Well, here you go. Here's your bottle. But it's really a can.
Except cans are cool.
I never, like it's so obvious and right there. I'm sorry.
That's pretty cool. So you talked a little bit about the storage space here, alluding to where we actually are. And just to paint a little bit of a picture for the listeners who can't see this awesome spot, this place is pretty
Close your
huge.
eyes really, really hard.
Yeah, just think really hard. But, I mean, this place is huge. High ceilings, big open, like beer garden-style tables everywhere, and brewery equipment right in view behind the bar. Big,
Yes.
giant bar, big, huge board with all the cool beers listed on it. There's a courtyard outside. There's other businesses around here. I mean, just like aesthetics alone, this is a really cool
And
chill
I don't know
spot.
if people
Yeah.
know what this previously was. That makes it even more impressive.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about
I
that for a
think
moment?
we had mentioned it briefly at Little Big,
Did
but
we?
yeah, I'd like to know more.
Yeah, so it's continuing with the German heritage of beer making. This building, this entire property we're on, not only the building we're in, but the one across the courtyard that houses really nice wine bistro, Cork and Fork Wine Bistro. This used to be Sun Motor Company, which was the Mercedes-Benz dealership for the West Shore. And it's so ideal for a brewery because the building we're specifically in was the service department. The one next door was the showroom. This was the service department. And it's more suited for a brewery than the showroom would have been because of all the garage doors. If you look around, I mean, there's garage doors all around this building,
Yeah.
and they were here. We didn't put any of them in. They were all here because they used to drive Mercedes in and out of them to fix them. So it's ideal for a brewery. We can drive in and out of almost any wall or any door we want to, and it's really, really nice for beer going out, equipment coming in, grains, all that stuff. It's really nice. But yeah, it used to be a car dealership.
Wow,
That's crazy.
So, and the brewery here, you guys are coming up on your 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
September.
September 22nd.
All right, we'll be. Have you been here from the beginning?
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you have any insight into what location scouting for the brewery was like, or what, did this place kind of come up as the perfect spot?
Well, I know that there were, a variety of places that were scouted. By the time I was really a part of the picture, the place was kind of finalized. So I can't speak a lot to what other places they looked at, but I know it was more than just this. They weighed a lot of options. They're very savvy when it comes to stuff like that,
Right,
and
yeah.
and they definitely weighed a bunch of options, like the owners always do when we're making decisions, and one way or another settled on this location, and I'm super grateful for it, and I think a lot of our customers and patrons and stuff are too. It's pretty ideal, and where it is geographically is also ideal because, I mean, like was mentioned earlier, Trogs is not far from here, and Pizza Boy is not far from here, but in this day and age, I mean, 10 or 12 miles in a car to a craft beer drinker, that is kind of far. And you shouldn't necessarily have to go that far to drink a good beer.
Unless you're planning on getting there and then standing in line for 5 hours for 2 bottles.
Yeah, for something real fancy. But, for everyone in this, Hamden Township, Camp Hill, there really isn't a whole lot over here, or wasn't anyway, so it definitely filled a void of good beer for people that want to drink it around here. You know, we've got a bunch of walkers and stuff that come up, and people riding bikes up to the back door, so it's got a neighborhood vibe to it, even though the Carlisle Pike you don't really see the neighborhoods from the Pike, but they are all around here, and the people that live in them are coming here all the time, so it's pretty cool.
Do you have any plans to celebrate the 1 year?
Yeah, we are gonna. We're working out the final details on it, so I can't speak a lot to that because some of them I don't actually know. But we are working that out. Yeah, we're definitely gonna celebrate. We're gonna drink a bunch of beer. That's for sure. You're probably gonna see some barrel aged beer releases, some bottle and draft. So you'll finally see some of the wood popped open.
I was going to ask about the barrels because I'm staring directly
they're
at
right
them.
over there.
There they are. There's some of them.
Love to see barrels.
So you'll probably see most likely some Dark Necessity Imperial Stout. You'll see some of them have been aged nearly a year in Heaven Hill and Buffalo Trace barrels.
That sounds good.
And we've tasted them. They are rich. They're good. They're really tasty. They're good. So that's something you're...
How much do I have to pay you to taste some of that?
I'll tell you.
I told you my soul will go for $1 million, so I can give you like $5.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
So beyond the canning line, now that you're reaching the 1 year mark, any other plans for expansion?
Well, it's ironic you guys got here today. So we've actually
Christmas
expanded
here at the brewery.
Yeah, I know just the listeners can't quite see it, but we just had 2 new 40-barrel fermenters literally delivered at 10 a.m. this morning. They're in the building so far. They're still on their side. I'm trying to convince everyone to let me use them as lagering tanks so we can just leave them on their side.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to stand them up, which is no big deal. We're going to hoist them up early next week and start moving them into place and getting them cleaned up and plumbed in with refrigeration and all that stuff. But that's actually the second expansion we've already gone through. So when we started, we had 6 fermentation tanks and 2 bright beer tanks, which is just what we were able to put together and what we thought was a good starting point. And it was a great starting point. But right away, we knew we were going to be buying tanks. And so from September to probably mid or late November, we made the decision that we have to buy more fermentation tanks right away. And we did. We needed them. So we did. We bought 2 new 20-barrel fermentation tanks, 1 40-barrel fermentation tank, and another bright tank. And then about a month ago, we purchased 2 more 40-barrel fermentation tanks. So the first 9 tanks are operational and full of beer, doing their thing. And we have 2 more, which, I don't know, in the next 2 to 4 weeks, maybe something like that, they'll be up and running. And a lot of this is in preparation for the canning line. Once that's up and running and dialed in the next month or 2, we're going to need more fermentation to support a different outlet for beer, you know. And when you're running a big, machine like a bottling line or canning line, you're better off to have a large volume of beer, set it up, get running, get it dialed in, and just package beer as long as you can, as opposed to just doing small volumes of beer. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Do you think you'll have to use that other... So I know you said the cans will probably go behind that wall that's there, behind all the tanks. But as far as the brewing and fermentation equipment go, what happens when you outgrow that row?
I don't know. I don't exactly know.
I mean, there's always the roof.
Yeah.
There's always the roof.
Yeah, there's mezzanines, there's roofs. I mean, we haven't quite gotten to that bridge. I mean, of course, we've all, within the company, we've loosely talked about it and mentioned the fact that this could happen at some point in time, that parts of the tasting room at some point could have tanks in it. We won't do that unless we absolutely have to. Right. Believe it or not, I mean, I know it looks tight from your guys' viewpoint, but you can see all the fermentation tanks we have in a row. Mm-hmm. The 2 new 40-barrel tanks are going to go on the other side of those.
When you first said that there was a wall behind the wall, I thought you were going to say that there was room behind the tanks, which from here I can kind of gather now that I look at it closely.
So what you see between the tanks and the wall, that's going to be another row of tanks, starting with those 2 fermentation tanks.
You need a skinny intern.
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't drink.
A skin turn.
So we've got enough room for another, 6 to 8 40-barrel tanks going down that wall. And believe it or not, and this has been measured, it's all been spec'd, we actually have enough room to put another 6 or 8 behind those tanks, in between the bar and those tanks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is what I love about brewers, because you can find space where there really is none.
Yeah,
just like Mad Chef.
I know,
and
man.
really, to the comment of really skinny intern, really all you need to do is to be able to open up the door, the manway, and hook a couple hoses up to it. It doesn't have to be comfortable. Doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, you might.
Who's going to climb up there and clean those spray balls, though? Come on.
I will.
Come on.
I will. I have to.
He's down. Somebody's got to do it.
I like heights, though. Some people are afraid of them.
I'm not worried about heights. I'm worried about squeezing a ladder in between there, and you don't want to bump the wrong thing.
Yeah, you don't.
Or you just repel from the ceiling.
Yeah,
that works.
Spider
there you
style.
go. Cirque du Soleil coming to Ever Grain.
Cirque de Brule.
So
Cirque
interactive.
de Brule.
Cirque de Brule.
We need to get you like a
now we're on to
leotard.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, Spider-Man
You got to give
should
me
be a
one, or
brewer.
you want me to just bring the ones that I already have in?
Love it. Love it.
So how big is your actual brewing system then? We talked a lot about fermentation capacity. But
Our brewing system that we currently have, it's a 2-vessel system plus a whirlpool, and the capacity is 20 hectoliters. So depending on the gravity of the original gravity of the recipe, you can squeeze out anywhere between like 17 and 19 barrels.
Okay.
So it's a Bavarian
size,
system.
yeah.
It's a Braucon, and they're obviously from Germany, and then their manufacturing is geared towards German beer, which is like 12-degree Plato, Pilsners, Helles, Hefeweizen, stuff like that. So when I'm brewing those kind of beers, I can squeeze out technically more than the system will hold. But once we're doing the more American stuff, the IPAs and stuff like that, the stuff we brew more of, it's basically a 17-barrel system. So juicy IPA, Surf Breaker, stuff like that. It's about I squeeze out about 17 barrels per batch.
And how often do you brew?
I mean, it depends on it depends on the week. It depends on tank capacity. It depends on inventory needs and stuff. But almost always twice a week.
Okay.
As much as 4 times a week. I have brewed 5 times in a week before on occasion. So just it depends on tank capacity, really. With the fermenters we have.
When the canning line gets here, do you see that? I'm guessing probably go up at least. Probably a day, maybe 2 more days a week.
Oh, yeah. Without question.
Yeah,
Sure.
Do you have any? Is it just you, or do you have any assistant brewers?
Yeah. Well, there's some assistant brewers. Yeah. Not just me.
Are they all skinny?
Yes. The skinniest.
Of course.
So speaking of leotards,
Yes.
What?
you guys do
What the hell kind of segue is that?
the perfect segue.
I know where you're going.
much.
I know where you're going. All right.
You guys do yoga here 3 days a
We
week,
do,
right?
and I actually attend on Sundays.
Nice.
So if anybody wants to do yoga with the brewer, come on Sunday.
Well, I was going to ask, how often are you brewing while yoga's going on?
All the time. Never, almost never on Sunday, because I like to do yoga and do my thing on Sunday. But all the time, almost always. If I'm not brewing,
It's like hot yoga then.
Yeah,
depending on how close you are to the
it
brew
is.
kettle.
It's hot and sometimes loudish type yoga, but it's
totally zen. Man.
It's
hot
it
and
is.
loudish
It's the
yoga.
zen of brewing beer, but it's cool. I mean, we got the tunes on, and I like it I love it when I'm brewing and they're doing yoga, because it really puts
Gee, I wonder why.
Right. Well, I mean, there's the obvious, but beyond that, I mean, it really sets like a peaceful, like really chill type of vibe in the whole building. You pack 30 or 40 people in here, men and women, doing their thing, relaxed in a zoned kind of mindset, and it cast a good energy towards the building, towards the brew, towards me. I mean, I soak it in. It's not directed towards me, but you pick up on those kind of vibrations, and I think it just makes for a better day at work, a better mood, a better atmosphere, which, believe it or not, it affects all the work you do, and it affects
do you
the
think
beer.
It improves the quality of the beer.
It absolutely does, and it certainly doesn't hurt it.
Yeah,
it certainly doesn't hurt it.
Yeah.
And it's free, right?
It's free, absolutely. So
Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Maybe I'll come out for one of
Where
those.
did all
You
this
should.
yoga at breweries come from?
I don't know. It's a thing now. Everyone's
it's
doing
a
it.
thing.
People
But I've never
started-
seen a brewery that does it 3 days a week.
That's
Basically.
right.
That's pretty awesome.
They are
People started
committed.
doing beer yoga, and then it turned into, well, I'm a brewer, like come out to my brewery, and you can drink my beer afterwards, and then it took off from there.
I think a lot of it is like the same type of clientele. The people that want to come out and sip craft beer and eat good foods and stuff like that are oftentimes a little bit more holistic, maybe care about their health, and it's that really is the clientele in my eyes of the craft beer drinker. That is the modern day beer drinker. It's not the mindset of what people thought of beer drinkers 100 years ago, fat and lazy and, things like that. I mean,
for some of us, it's
no.
Some of us are keeping the faith
it's not
alive,
like that at all. But I think beer has become, like a gourmet food, and it's like the same type of person that loves to do yoga, loves to come drink good beer and drink good wine and eat fancy cheeses and stuff like that.
I'd rather hike than do yoga. I'm too impatient to do yoga.
You'd be surprised.
How long do I got to stay in this pose?
You feel really good. And then we always sit around and drink beers afterwards. So it's like detox, retox.
See, you might want to hike, but you don't have a brewery that has hiking involved in it because you can't hike in a brewery.
Yeah.
Moab has a brewery.
How many times do I have to
Zion
say
has
it?
a
There's
brewery.
always the roof.
There's always
Speaking of, you talked about food a little bit. We touched on right here. There's a little pass-through window where people are going up and ordering delicious food that smells really good all around us. Red Sky Cafe. You want to talk a little bit about them, what they offer, and have they always been part of the brewery here?
Well, I mean, they've always. Let me back up. They haven't. We've always had food in our tasting room. The food it's independently owned and operated. We are two separate companies. They do provide the food for us and our customers and everything. There was a different company that was there when we first opened up.
I was going to ask, I don't remember Red Sky from when I was here last.
No, it was a company called Our Kitchen Table during the first few months of us being open, and then it transitioned into a separate company, a second company called Red Sky Cafe. But it's southern kind of cuisine. They're a restaurant based out of Duck, North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So they sort of brought that concept up here. So there's a lot of seafood and stuff like that.
I've got a question, though.
Sure.
What about that big, giant pretzel? Does it still exist?
What, here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it's still here.
You can't have a brewery and not have a big
every
giant
good brewery
pretzel.
has a giant
Especially in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's still there. Don't worry.
All right. I got worried for a second. Because I don't know, in North Carolina, do they have soft pretzels?
I don't know. I guess.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Nah, probably not.
It's like
North-
Hey, if you've been through North Carolina, call our phone number we mentioned earlier.
Do you guys have pretzels?
Yeah.
let us know about your
We are a
North Carolina
pretzel-free state.
Boo.
Well,
So,
hold on. It looks like we have a lot of empty glasses.
We do.
So before we let Wayne ask another question,
Well, I was going to say, speaking of leotards,
oh,
I could drink some more beer.
you stole my transition, though. It doesn't work as well.
I think it still works. But yeah, I think we should beer.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
All right, so this is one of those times where beer has magically appeared in front of us. Yeah. We should have like a chime for that. I might isolate that.
There you
Make
go.
that the chime. But we do have some beers here, and we're starting off, if I understand right, with Hell Yes, the lager.
Yes.
Right? All right. Hell Yes.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Hell yes. This is the Hell Yes lager. It's a Hell Ace lager, and that's sort of why we went with that name. Hell Ace, for the listeners that don't know, means light in German, and that's exactly what it is. It's a light lager. Not a light beer in like the big macro domestic sense. It's just a lighter bodied, lighter mouthfeel, lighter ABV, lighter IBUs. It's just a very approachable, everyday drinking lager. And they're super popular all over Germany and Austria and places like that. And you're seeing sort of a revival of the Hell Ace beer style in craft beer as well. And it's one of our favorites, one of my personal favorite beers to brew and to drink. So here we are.
It's delicious.
Just starting off with the aroma, going into to take the sip of it, and it finishes very, very, very clean, which I love. It's nice and
Hell
crisp.
Ace said better.
Well, I know. But that's what I love about the style overall, and it's very true to it.
And I love that it's number one because, yes, it's an appropriate tasting order, but I also truly believe that if a brewery has a German lager, it should be the very first beer you have at that brewery because
Sure.
it will be a true indication
It's
of the kind of brewer
you're
that you have
100%,
there.
and all
Nothing
the,
to hide.
All the experienced, craft beer drinkers and brewers and stuff that come to visit here and visit anywhere. It's the same thing I do when I go somewhere. If someone's got a Pilsner, it's the first beer I'm drinking. If someone has only a Hell Ace, something like that, it's the first beer I'm drinking. It's sort of is a benchmark of a brewery, in my opinion. And no offense to the breweries that don't make lagers, I get it.
You should, though.
You should give them a whirl. They taste great, but yeah, when there's one on a draft list, it's the first one that I go to, always.
a good German lager of any style. That's especially like the easier drinking side of things. Like it's just you could sit down. I love the fact that these are the types of beers that you can like pound a few, drink it with a meal, but it's not simple. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot to enjoy. There's a lot to experience with the beer, but it's also not something that's constantly vying for your attention over other things.
Sure. It can be the forefront or it can be the background. It can be an accompaniment.
And it makes me want to eat a really big pretzel, which I think a good German Helles should.
Luckily, we're not in North Carolina.
Yeah,
I know, right?
I hear they have nothing down there. No
we have
pretzels
real
at all.
pretzels here.
Sorry, North Carolina.
They probably don't even have good lager there
Just
either.
kidding. I actually used to live there. To anyone in North Carolina listening to this, I love North Carolina, and you guys have pretzels.
Well,
I know.
right,
we were kidding.
Yes, and they have great beer.
I lived
too.
in Greensboro for like 3 or 4 years, so
All right.
I got some NC love in me.
We were shitting all over North Carolina for like 15 minutes. Like, actually, I used to live there.
But I did move, so you didn't keep me forever.
That's true. So are lagers and German style of beers like a big part of your wheelhouse as a brewer, your experience, and part of like Ever Grain as a brewery?
Yeah. I mean, kind of yes to all of those. I mean, I've brewed beers similar to this, at least this type of style, at a couple of different places, and certainly a big part of Ever Grain. We love to drink them personally, and we think our customers seem to like them. It's a good approachable beer to the person that would come into the tasting room that maybe doesn't drink a lot of craft beer, maybe has never been to a craft brewery before. It is all malt, it's all natural hops, it's all yeast and water. There's nothing above or beyond that in this beer, but it is craft beer and pretty approachable to the person who's never had a triple IPA or some crazy Belgian whatever that's with phenolic characteristics and or large IBU counts, something like that. So it's a good starting point for not only a flight of beer for someone who's had every beer in the world, but it's a great beer for a person that's just kind of cracking into the craft beer thing. And we actually see some of that around here with some of our customer base because there hasn't really been a brewery right around here. So maybe some of the people that are maybe a little bit older that didn't really grow up with the craft beer movement but are like catching on to it now, which is great. They'll come in and it's just a great jumping off point to see if you want to go to the next one,
So I just thought of a question that I don't know if we've ever asked anybody in this area that makes a lager. But considering when you go out to a normal bar, if you say, I want a lager, they give you a Yingling.
Sure.
How would you market this, or how do you present this to somebody who's used to Yingling being the quote-unquote lager that we all know?
Well, I mean, I personally would present it as it is a Helles lager, whereas Yingling is more along the lines of like a Vienna style lager. Okay. A little bit richer body, a little bit maltier. Great beer, P.S. Side note to that, I love Yingling lager. I always have. It's a very, very well-made lager. But I mean, clearly, like if you saw them side by side, you'd easily be able to tell the difference. And they are definitely different body types. Just a much lighter beer in general. So while it sort of is in the same niche, it's also different at the same time as well.
Oh, that's the cool thing about seeing a number of breweries, particularly in Pennsylvania and here in central Pennsylvania, embracing and brewing traditional style lagers and German style lagers, is that it's like Steph said, it's the beer that you should judge a brewery by, because you can't hide anything. Like, it's a traditional style.
Yep.
There's no bells, there's no whistles. This is this beer. This is a traditional beer. It's also, as Dan alluded to, excuse me.
You're getting choked up.
I am getting choked up. But it's also like for people who maybe haven't gotten into craft beer real deeply, or people who think craft beer is just IPA. This is a great kind of beer to get, because I think this is the kind of beer that you can appreciate as someone who loves beer and loves all types of beer, and someone who's drank Yingling their whole life. It's something different, something you put in front of them and be like, oh, this is nice, this is good, and it's not too scary, it's not too intimidating for someone just approaching craft beers. And I love great lagers being made in Pennsylvania for all those reasons.
And I mean, honestly, like Pennsylvania, we were super rich brewing history, especially pre-Prohibition, and obviously these days it's super rich again. Pennsylvania needs its lager beer. I mean, with our, Dutch Bavarian heritage that's so strong in this state, and of course with Yuengling being the biggest player that's ever been in this state and one of the biggest in the world, craft breweries, in my opinion, need to produce lagers around here because Pennsylvanians drink them. They drink a lot of them.
Well, Pennsylvania also brews Sam Adams.
Sure.
Wow.
Which is probably the
true.
biggest player in Pennsylvania. Boston, they don't brew a lot of it in Boston. It's brewed here.
Yeah, Allentown. I still give Yuengling the love, though.
Yeah, for sure. Although Boston did not give Yuengling the love.
They
tried to distribute up there a few years ago.
They were not having it. That's true.
Yeah. They wanted they want their Boston lager. That's what they love.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
Well, as long as we're on the German kick, let's move on to
Let's do it.
the one, the only, the Pilsner. So this is Camp Pils Pilsner. Very clever what you did there.
Yeah. You see what we did there?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Your names are kind of punny.
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, kind of most of them are. And that's sort of our approach to things here. I mean, we are very serious about our beer and about our beer making, about our recipes, but we are a pretty laid back company. I mean, myself and the owners, we want an unpretentious vibe. We want it to be loose and relaxed. I mean, the workday is sort of like that. It's not an intense place in any capacity from a employee standpoint or from a customer standpoint. And some of our names sort of reflect that. We don't want to be the serious, scary. Yeah. We don't want that. We want a little chuckle for maybe the person who gets the joke, or just the cute tongue-in-cheek type of thing. And some of our names sort of reflect that. This was one of our original flagship beers that we kind of developed very early on. And just being in Camp Hill, it was one of the easiest ones we named. Naming beers for me personally is the hardest part of the job. The hardest part of the job, period.
It only gets harder because every time you come up with something that you think is awesome, you type it into Google.
Tell me about it.
And it's been done.
Oh yeah, every time we come up with a really amazing name, it's I know that's been done. Get online, and sure enough, it was.
I legitimately didn't get that it was supposed to be Camp Hill until you were like, "Oh, that's funny." I didn't. Yeah, I did not pick up on that.
That's cool. See, people are still catching on.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
I'm always a little behind.
$1 short and a day late.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, this was one of the ones that was right away. This was an easy name. But yeah, Pilsner oftentimes is just shortened into Pils. And that's pretty common, as you guys know, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners would know as well. But being in Camp Hill, Camp Pils, it just stuck.
It's too perfect.
It's too perfect.
One of my favorite ever Pilsner puns ever came out. I used to name the episodes just as beer puns or whatever. Jagged Little Pills. That was one of my favorite ones I've ever
that's
come
awesome.
up with.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
Great album, by the way.
That was the first time we were at Appalachian.
It was.
It was. I remember that.
Yes, it was.
Wow. But the beer's
eons
good.
and eons ago.
Yes. But the beer is phenomenal.
Thank you.
I knew it
I
would be.
love this beer.
It's that nice, crisp, slightly hoppier than I was expecting, which I really like.
It's a Pils.
It is, and a lot of people don't. I wouldn't say a lot, but there are people out there that don't fully understand what the Pilsner style is traditionally, and it always has been in the Czech Republic and Bavaria a very hop forward beer. This was a special springtime beer.
Yeah, but we're not talking American hops.
No.
We're talking about those good, wonderful, old world floral hops.
Yeah, Satzer is a part of this. German Pearl, Tettnang. So we try to use geographically appropriate ingredients for our historical styles, especially the historical styles. So you won't find American ingredients in any of our German beers.
I respect that.
Yeah, and then I feel like we owe that to the people 1,000 years ago that were coming up with stuff like this. Certain things shouldn't be reinvented, in my opinion. And the Pilsner is the top of that list. Traditionally, it is a hop-forward beer, and we actually dry hop this beer in our hop gun, very heavily. Believe it, almost as heavily as we dry hop some of our big American-style, New England-style IPAs. Now, it doesn't strike you aromatically as much as those beers because of the oil content of these European hops. They're just not as dank and oily as the American hybrid counterparts. But you would definitely notice the difference in this beer if it wasn't. If I were to give you a sample, which I taste all the time, before we dry hop, two different beers, totally two different beers. So it's a hoppy one. There's a lot of hop content in this beer. But a lot of people, the novice beer drinker, I think, wants to think about AB or Miller and stuff like that when they think about Pilsner because it's written on the side of the can and they think, it's a true American Pilsner or whatever it says on the side of the can.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And while it is what it is, you might love that beer, you might hate it, it's definitely not a classic Czech or Bavarian-style Pilsner at all. But this kind of is, as best as we can tell.
Now, I'm
best as we can.
curious from like a business standpoint, do the Helles and the Pilsner sell well here in the tasting room?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean...
Yay, PA.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they sell great. We sell a lot of these beers. They're sort of on the lower end of our ABV scale.
Yeah.
So, you'll find people that come in that don't want the 6 or 7 or 8 or 10% beer just because it's, maybe they have to go somewhere.
Because it's 6 or 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And 40 or 50 years ago, before there was any craft beer, I mean, beer was pretty low ABV. You weren't getting big, strong, face-melting beers like everybody makes these days. So this kind of fills that little pocket of beer drinkers for sure that just want to sip on a couple of beers and not totally feel it, Just have a couple, have some dinner, and take off.
As much as I love those high ABV barrel-aged beers that we all know I get sloppy off of.
Everyone does.
Well, yeah. There's definitely... I think I'd much rather have this because I got a bottle of something for my birthday. It's a bomber. It's like a 13%. It's still there.
Sure.
I want some... Especially in the summer. I want something nice and light and crisp and refreshing like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice to enjoy a beer without, falling over afterwards.
Yeah. Well,
Now, this one is quite pretty.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I love this, pale peach color. Very nice.
Now
Spoiler alert, I had some of this earlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, we had a little of it earlier.
Me too.
Yeah. This is the Bada Bing, which is, what was
Bada
it?
Bing.
Cherry wheat?
Yeah, cherry wheat. It's a tart cherry wheat, essentially. So it's the base recipe or the base of the beer is a Bavarian-style Hefeweizen with Hefeweizen yeast, with Bavarian yeast. So you get some of those, clovey, peppery sort of characteristics from the yeast. You get a little bit of that banana as well. The difference with this, which makes it very not German, is the addition of fruit. There's ultimately roughly 150 pounds of Bing cherries from Oregon. These particular Bing cherries are from Oregon. Oregon and Washington is predominantly where those cherries grow. They are the classic pie cherry. You'll find people using other cherries, black cherries and stuff like that, but this is the classic pie cherry. And when people think about cherry pie, they think it's sweet.
They think of Warrant.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
They think of that too. But yeah, I mean, cherry pie, the cherry pie your grandmother makes is a sweet pie, but it's only sweet because of the intense amount of sugar she dumped into that before she boiled up that cherry puree. Cherries on their own, Bing cherries especially, are very tart. They're almost not even that delicious when you kind of eat them on their own. I mean,
oh my god, I ate a whole container of them the other night myself.
Yeah, I did too.
They're so good.
I did too. I've been eating them a lot lately.
I was curious what specifically Bing cherries.
Yeah. So that's where the name the namesake came from. Bada Bing.
Bada Bing. Yeah. Are there Google cherries?
Will there be a Bada Boom?
Possibly. Now we might have a name that I have to create a beer for. So that's good. Yeah, we'll have one. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be something.
Bada Boom.
Yeah.
Well, here. This sort of is reminiscent of a banana split. You have the banana and the cherry.
It is.
So now you need to do the chocolate and the nut. I almost feel like
that could be the
peanut
boom.
butter stout.
Ooh.
this with that could be the boom.
Thanks for the paper.
And
No
then
problem.
have those together. You could even do a mix, a half and half. That would probably be.
The best part of this podcast is when the brewmaster starts taking notes.
And I really am. Thanks, guys.
I took a sip of Wayne's earlier, and I wish, as much as I liked the Summer Daisy that I had, I kind of secretly wished I would have gotten this.
Hey, well, now you did.
Now I did.
Well, and this is one of those instances where I know this is so hipster of me, but proper glassware here. You had it, and Wayne, I'm talking to you. The listeners can't tell that I'm looking.
I'm glad you clarified.
When
Thanks.
you ordered it, it was served in a nice half-liter wheat glass, and it really with that nice thick head. And first you lift up the glass and you get that aroma. In the sample glass, it's a delicious beer, but that glass really transforms that beer into something super special.
It's pretty in that glass. I agree. It's beautiful in that glass.
Just the aroma, it's such a good beer. And I'm not usually a fruit beer kind of person.
I'm not either. I'm not either.
This is good.
And I don't often sit around and talk about how much I love my own beer, but I really do love. To anyone listening, I really do love this beer. I mean it. This is the only after work. This is like the only beer I've had this week. I have a crowler to take home with me tonight. It's the only beer I'll probably drink tonight. I'm on it right now. So
wow, nice.
If anyone wants to get here in the next couple of weeks while it's still on, come on up.
And that's always the sign. If that's the one the brewer drinks,
it means something. Because, I've got 13 other ones to pick from, and they're all awesome as well. But right now, this is my favorite. Talk to me next week. It might be something different. But right now, this is my favorite, and I mean that.
I will follow up with you next week.
So I feel like we should have some fun since we have some beer in us.
Yeah. Are you not having fun?
I want to have more fun.
We should have more fun.
More fun?
I demand more fun.
The part of the podcast where we turn the fun up to 11.
Would you say it is mandatory fun?
Mandatory fun.
11 and a half.
That's what Fridays are for.
One person out there is going to understand
fun
that.
Fridays.
It is time for some compulsory fun.
Compulsory fun. There we are.
Welcome to Compulsory Fun. The only podcast trivia segment made with 100% certified organic artisanal levity and fermented with wild yeast harvested from the back of my fridge. Today.
Wait, no, what? What's back there?
Wild yeast.
Yeah, that's also your fridge.
That too.
Today we are playing a game that we seldom play
Oh dear.
anymore.
Oh no.
A game that celebrates bizarre, stuntish,
Is this
beers.
There's Weird in My Beer?
sometimes made only to make headlines. Yes, welcome to
Yay!
There's Weird in My Beer.
I love this game.
Bing cherries.
That's not weird.
You are incorrect, sir.
I tried.
This is the game where I tell you about a beer and give you multiple choice options as to what the strange, bizarre, or unusual ingredient in that beer is. And we will begin to my left with Steph. The first beer of the game
Damn it, I am
is
to your left.
Mr. Twit's Odious Ale, brewed by London's 40-foot
Where do you
brewery
find these beers?
on the internet. Brewed by London's 40-foot brewery to accompany Dinner at the Twits, an interactive theatrical dining experience, this smoky Grodziski was fermented with yeast harvested from a rather unusual literary location.
Roald Dahl's chair.
Did this...
No, I know there's a beer that was fermented with yeast taken from Roald Dahl's writing chair.
Did this... Steph broke the game.
Is that literally it?
Roald Dahl's writing chair?
Is that one of the options?
Yeah.
Then I choose that.
All right.
Sam's
Steph
turn.
chooses A.
I'm going to go with that too.
He has to say all the options.
Oh yeah, what are the other options? But I'm going to go with A.
Dr. Seuss's Journal or Maurice Sendak's Cynicism?
I'm going to go with A.
Damn it, I screwed this up for myself.
I'm going to give you a bonus point for that. She was right. You're going to guess A because that's the correct answer, Bruce. Okay.
I'm going to go with A.
Bruce is also saying A. Yes, because it was Roald Dahl's writing chair. The brew was inspired by Dahl's humorous children's book, The Twits, which the author says was triggered by his desire to, quote, do something about beards. He was not a fan.
Do something about beards? What's wrong with beards?
I don't know, but he didn't like them. Interesting fact,
Well,
the
I don't
chair,
like him.
The chair in question was actually made was custom made for him to be able to write after suffering a back injury.
Oh, I get it, Twits.
Oh,
In
wait
World
a
War
minute.
Hold on,
now.
I just got the name of the beer.
Yeah, Mr. Twits.
Yeah,
Odious
because
Ale.
his book, The Twits.
The Twits.
I'm more interested in the back injury part.
Yeah, have you been in a war?
Maybe.
He was a fighter pilot
I was in the Time
and
War.
crashed.
You were in the Time War. Were you
That's
in
the only reason he became an
the
author.
parsley, sage, rosemary and Time War?
All right. Well played.
All right. Steph's going to get a bonus point for that one because she knew it
Bravo,
without even
Steph.
hearing the options,
Bravo.
which was pretty impressive, though it took some of the steam out of my other
Sorry.
multiple choice options. Moving on to Dan for beer number 2 of the game. This beer is called Pilsner, and it's a Pilsner from Danish brewery Nørrebro Brygges, made in partnership with the Danish government to promote sustainable practices.
R. Kelly's toilet.
Includes a rather unusual ingredient in the process. Is that ingredient hamster urine, cat urine, or human urine?
Well, it's not cat urine because they just would have used fucking...
Simcoe.
Thank
Simcoe,
you,
yeah.
Simcoe. So hamster or what?
Hamster, cat, or human?
Human.
Human. Human urine.
Hamsters aren't going to pee enough.
Hamster because
That's your reason?
Hamsters aren't going to pee enough.
Unless he's got like 1,000.
another good title.
Unless there's
Beer Busters
1,000
Podcast,
hamsters.
episode 121. Hamsters are not going to pee enough.
Unless you have 1,000 hamsters, you're not going to get
On
enough
1,000 typewriters. One of them will make a beer.
pee. So I'm going with human.
All right. Dan is saying this beer was made with human urine. Bruce, what do you think? Hamster?
I'm
cat?
going with hamster.
All right.
Because I feel like you could harvest a little bit of hamster urine, say you put it in there, and you did, and it would really have no effect on the beer. So that's what I'm thinking about logically.
All right.
I'm going to go with
all right.
hamster.
All right. So a similar reason, but with an opposite result.
Yeah.
Isn't there a device that you can take camping with you?
A catheter.
That if there's
It's called a catheter.
no,
Yeah, I
that
know
you
what you're.
can
Yes.
turn your urine into
Yeah.
something that's drinkable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a straw, and it was featured on Good Mythical Morning.
So I'm thinking human.
Human.
Is that your
Like
final
you
answer?
shouldn't drink other animals' milk, so you probably shouldn't drink other animals'
But yet
urine
we drink
either.
cow milk.
Yeah, and we shouldn't, but that's a whole nother podcast.
It's evolution.
I'm gonna say human.
Human urine. Steph and Dan both saying human urine, and they are both correct.
So wait a minute. Can I get a bonus point for R. Kelly's toilet because that's human urine?
No, that's no.
All right.
No. Over 10,000 gallons of urine.
That goes against what you were thinking.
That's like 100 million
That's
hamsters.
a lot.
10,000 gallons of urine was collected from attendees at Denmark's Roskilde Music Festival
Oh my God, they were Music Fest attendees too. There
in
were-
2015.
322 barrels of urine.
Oh my god.
It was all, yeah.
That's a lot. Like,
50,000
I know for a fact
liters.
that is a lot.
That is a lot. However, the urine was used to fertilize the barley that was used in brewing the Pilsner.
still kind of gross.
yeah,
It is.
There was
It is.
no actual piss in the beer.
I wouldn't have thought of that route, but yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. They refer to this process as beer cycling, and they hope to show brewers new ways to be sustainable.
Well, they sure did.
They sure did.
Wow.
50 million hamsters. 20,000 roaring orcs. Moving on to Bruce, who is going to guess first on this one. The next beer is Jurassic Saison.
Oh god.
Ooh,
Fossil
good.
Fuels Jurassic Saison has its beginnings way back in 1992, and it is brewed with a much, much older ingredient than that, as the name suggests.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeast used in brewing this beer was harvested from fossilized amber, fossilized wild hops, or coprolite, also known as fossilized feces.
I'm going to go with wild hops, and the reason is because I know that oftentimes plants and fruit and flowers are just going to collect natural flora and yeast just because they're out in a field with the wind blowing around. So I feel like that's the easiest thing to catch yeast on
Okay,
of
fair
those
enough.
of those options.
Plus,
So
also, hops are also used to make beer.
Hops are also used in beer.
So-
if you haven't heard.
There's
I
a
love that he
connection there.
explains all of his choices. By the way,
Well, I love my own logic, and I want other people to know it too.
Also, hops do not produce a large amount of urine, so
very little.
but you can use urine to grow them, perhaps.
Yeah,
amber, wild
fertilize
hops, or feces. Steph.
I'm gonna say feces.
Steph is gonna say feces.
Fun word
Why
to say.
not?
Gun to my head, I'll say feces.
Oh, gun to the head again.
Finally, Dan.
I was trying to do audio stuff. What were the options?
Fossilized
Amber,
Amber,
hops,
wild
feces.
hops, or feces.
Amber, hops, feces. Yeasties.
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 That was not an option.
You both said feces?
So it's
said
Kanye
hops.
West's
Hops,
album.
feces. I'll go amber.
You'll go amber, just to be different, and
Color over energy.
to be correct, because it is
You're right.
fossilized amber. Back in 1992, life imitated art when, just weeks before the release of the film Jurassic Park in theaters, scientist Raul Cano first isolated DNA from an insect preserved in 45 million-year-old chunks of amber. Shortly after making this discovery, he partnered with microbiologist Chip Lambert, and the two began using yeast preserved in those samples to homebrew beer under the name Fossil Fuels Brewing Company. After a couple
I heard
decades
nothing you said. I was listening to music.
of experimenting, they got more serious. They partnered with Shubros Brewery, and they refined their brews and now release them to the public. Fermented with yeast harvested from 45 million-year-old fossilized
All right.
amber.
When I wasn't listening, that's what I was trying to get.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Are we going to have to pay for that?
We have a fourth and final bonus question.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen. And spinning the big wheel of randomness, I have decided that Dan is going to guess first on this one. This is Toast Pale Ale. This is another brewing effort aimed at encouraging environmentally friendly practices. Toast Ales began in the UK and is now brewed in New York City. The beer is made by replacing about a third of the grain bill with an unusual ingredient. Is that discarded marshmallows, leftover bread scraps, or half-eaten Pop-Tarts?
I'm going to go bread scraps.
Dan is saying bread scraps. Bruce, what do you think?
I don't have any logic or reason, but I'm going marshmallow.
All right,
Then I'll say Pop-Tarts.
When in doubt, go marshmallows. When in further doubt, go Pop-Tarts, both of which are wrong because Dan was correct.
Holy shit. I'm terrible at this game. I had a feeling I would be for some reason.
Leftover bread scraps. To make Toast Pale Ale, restaurants and bakeries across London and New York donate bread scraps that would otherwise be thrown away. The bread is toasted and broken down and goes into the tanks to get a second life as beer. 44% of bread is wasted in the form of unsold loaves and toast.
But what do they really get out of the toast? I'm trying to make sense of this. Can you really get sugars from toast?
If you mashed it, yeah,
I mean,
you could. But it's full of starch. Yeah, you could.
Let's do it. Beer Busters Ever Grain collaboration. Toast beer.
Toast beer.
You bring the toast. We got everything else.
100% of the profits from Toast, 100% of the profits are donated to Feedback, which is an environmental charity campaigning to end food waste. And if you really want to find out, Steph, you can find a homebrew recipe on their website to make beer with your own old bread.
Hey,
nice.
I eat my bread.
Yeah, I don't waste any bread.
There's no scraps.
I don't waste bread.
I eat all that bread.
I live in Berks County.
I make croutons.
I'm going to add up the points real quick here.
Freaking Dan.
To see who our big winner is. So, Steph, even with your bonus point,
I still lost.
You're in the middle with 3 points. Bruce, you only got one right.
I know. I
only got the first
you
one
thought
right.
too much about it. That's the problem.
It's the problem with me.
Sweeping with a perfect score.
Don't know how that happened. I'll be totally honest.
4 out of 4
Way
points.
to go.
Unreal.
I don't know how this happened. I don't know how.
Big up, Dan.
You know how? Because life finds a way.
Life finds it. You will wash your hands before you eat anything. This is the part of the show where we shout out
I don't get it.
to our most generous patrons on Patreon. People like Wolfgang von Colt, Victoria Miles, Ron McDonald, Oak Brook Brewing Company, Marilyn Engelman, Josh Price, Joe Mansell, and Jen McDonald. Thank you very much for helping make Beer Busters awesome. If you want to find out how you can get your name read out on the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/beerbusters to become a patron and get all kinds of cool perks like this one. Patreon.com/beerbusters.
Also, like Steph in a Chewy onesie.
$50, people.
$50. You only have to do it for 1 month, really. We'll love you forever if you do it more. And Steph will wear that to more recordings.
I would wear it in public.
Cough. Wow, that's recorded now.
Yeah. In the course of recording Beer Busters podcast, we've drank a lot of beer and we've racked up quite a hefty tab.
Yeah. I was hoping we'd never have to face that fact.
Yeah, so
I think we should pay it.
We're going to take a moment.
We got to pay it.
To pay our tab.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at Secret Hopper, an innovative new mystery shopper service for breweries. It's an idea that was created out of the love of two things, beer and the experience of sharing it. Breweries are attempting to differentiate themselves in an increasingly crowded market, and Secret Hopper can help you improve your customer experience. You can see their brewery from the other side of the bar by visiting secrethopper.com/beerbusters. Sign up to get secret hopped when you can find areas to improve, new areas of opportunity, monitor changes in your customer habits, and learn to grow from it. That's secrethopper.com/beerbusters to get started today.
This episode is brought to you in part by Loot Crate, which is a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and so much more. You have until the 19th of every month at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cutoff happens, it's over, it's done, it's gone, you missed it. Take my word, you do not want to miss it. By supporting Loot Crate, you also show your support for Beer Busters podcast. You can sign up over at trylootcrate.com/beerbusters and enter the code BRIDGE10 to save 10% on any new subscription. And trust me, as someone who has lots of cool Loot Crate gear, you do not want to miss a single month. That is trylootcrate.com/beerbusters. Enter the code BRIDGE10, like the bridge of the Enterprise, and 10 forward to save 10% off your subscription.
Know your beers.
Steph, what do we got?
So I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about something that I discovered while I was doing a little background research for this episode, something that I didn't even know existed. So I'm like, well, if I didn't know existed, probably many of our listeners didn't know
Then nobody
existed.
else possibly does.
No one knows. So apparently, Ever Grain is part of something called the Cumberland Valley Beer Trail, which is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And the Cumberland Valley Visitors Bureau unveiled this in April 2007, this Cumberland Valley Beer Trail. And this is a partnership with 15 local breweries and specialty restaurants and shops in the Cumberland Valley region. It's actually quite simple. You can go to their website, visit cumberlandvalley.com, and download the official Cumberland Valley Trail Passport, or you can pick one up at a beer trail participating locations, which I happen to have one right here in my hand because there's a pile of them here at Ever Grain. It's really cool. You visit the locations inside of the passport, and you get a sticker for each location you visit on the back panel. So I'm going to get my Ever Grain sticker before I leave. And you mail it in to the Cumberland Valley Visitors Bureau, and you can win shit. So you collect the stickers. You can collect 5, 10, or 15 of them. And then you tear off the back panel, and all you got to do is put a stamp on it and your return address and send it into the bureau. And you get to enter a chance to win a gift certificate from one of the participating locations in a monthly drawing. So 5 stickers gets you 1 entry, 10 gets you 2, and then if you visit all 15 places, you get 3 entries into the drawing. And each return passport also earns a coupon sheet, or coupon sheets, whichever you prefer, to use during future visits. So the participating businesses on the Cumberland Valley Beer Trail are, first from Chambersburg to Carlisle. Roy Pitts Brewing Company, Molly Pitcher Brewing Company, Bird's Nest Brewing Company, which is scheduled to open this fall, Castlerig Wine Shop. I've never heard of that place, so I'll have to check it out. Market Cross Pub and Brewery, Cafe Bruges, and Desperate Times Brewery. You see
just nailing them pronunciations.
My poor attempt at trying to fly over that.
That place is all. If you do make it to Carlisle, then definitely check out Cafe Bruges. Amazing food.
He said it correctly.
It's one of the only places I go
did.
to when I go down there. It's my favorite place. Amazing Belgian selection. Awesome food.
Nice. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So from Carlisle to Mechanicsburg, you have Appalachian Brewing Company, ABC, Hardy Brewing Company, Larson Meadworks, and TJ Rockwell's. And then from Mechanicsburg to the West Shore, Ever Grain, of course, Owls of Hamden, Pete's Boy Brewing Company, Grain and Verse Bottle House, and Brewhouse Grill. So as I said before, go to www.visitcumberlandvalley.com to learn more and to download the official Cumberland Valley Beer Trail Passport. The website also includes a list of recommended hotels, some upcoming events, and links to receive an official Cumberland Valley Visitor's Guide. And side note, they're not paying us to talk about this. Like, this is nothing like that. I just saw it.
Although, if you'd like
I thought it was kind of cool, so I wanted to talk about it. But Cumberland Valley
us.
Beer Trail, if you want to pay us, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome. I'm looking. I stole the pamphlet from Steph, and I'm looking through it. Really awesome spots on here. I mean, the ones that I've heard of, and some that I haven't. That look.
I've
really
been
cool.
to almost all. I've been to all the breweries except the one that's not open yet. But
yeah,
I like that it's also some beer places and restaurants, and encourage people to. I mean, we talked about like Phoenixville and talked about people visiting an area because of the breweries, and what a great way. I wish they'd have something like this in Denver when I had to narrow down the 7,000 breweries.
Yeah, right.
It's tough out there.
If they had one of these in Denver, it would be the size of a dictionary.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
and also, side note, Bird's Nest Brewing Company. You guys shout out. We'll have you on the podcast.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet. That would be cool. Well, I think in that vein, we should probably beer again.
Yep, let's drink more beer.
All right.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
I didn't isolate your clip yet, but beer magically appeared.
Wow.
I like that one better.
All right.
So anyway, we were drinking.
This
more beer.
smells amazing.
It does.
Thank
it smells
you.
really nice.
Yeah, it does. What is this one?
This is Soleado Pale Ale. It's our new one of our newer beers. It originally came out maybe like a month and a half ago. It was sort of like I don't want to say a pilot batch, but it was kind of an experimental beer, trying to highlight some different ingredients and trying to come up with a certain set of flavor compounds that we actually missed the mark on. It wasn't exactly what we intended, but it was still a good beer. There was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't, like, we had all these goals, and it just wasn't exactly that. So we released it. It was still a good beer, and it was just tremendously popular right out of the gates. So we made another batch of it, and I think I'm going to make another one in a week or two, and we'll try to keep it going. I don't want to necessarily call it a year-round thing. I don't know if we've made that decision yet, but we'll make it as often as we can.
It's really good.
Thank you
it's
very
like
much.
those fruity candies when you're a kid. I can't remember which one.
Well, it has a complex flavor curve.
Yeah.
They're like,
wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
It does. No,
I never spoke of beer like that. I like that.
It starts off like it's very hoppy. It's very grapefruit, like fruity, hop forward, and then like there's a creaminess, and then the aftertaste is like earthy grass.
Yep,
there's
there's like a grassiness at the end, and that's what I was going to point out.
Transition that happens.
I'm buying what you're selling.
There's
really
almost
nice.
like a little like biscuitiness in there too, which I get out of it, which I really, really. It's a very complex flavor.
There's a lot going on in this.
Yeah.
And it's very good. I
you.
really like this, and it's only 5.4%.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Pretty approachable. We think it's a pretty good sort of ABV point for summertime, especially. Soleado means sunny or from the sun. So
nice.
it sort of reminded us of the sun when we looked at it, and the big citrus grapefruit bomb just evoked all those things. So it's not necessarily pun-like, but just kind of to the point with this one.
I'm going to ask the dumb question. What language?
Spanish.
Okay.
I was going
Espanol.
to guess Esperanto.
Esperanto. Jesus.
What language is that?
It's
Is that a
not
language?
real.
It's it is. They flushed it out into a real language.
Realish.
But,
The
yeah.
best thing about Spanish is they have two words for umbrella:
Oh.
parasol and paraagua, or paragua. But
Interesting.
for
the
water
sun and for
the
water.
sun.
Oh, because
Parasol and
A-
paragua.
Interesting.
Under
Isn't that
my
awesome?
umbrella.
It's pretty cool. So you would
Ella,
use one
Ella.
if you were using
If you use parasol,
If
if,
it was-
you're
you were
trying to
shading
block the
yourself,
sun,
or if you
and
were
a paragua if
water
you're trying to
shading
block
yourself.
the water.
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, I get it. Like Sol and Agua.
No shit.
Dan is like so late to the party today. Hey, Dan. We've started the podcast. Just so
We're
you know.
almost finished with the podcast. Did you hit record?
No. Bruce actually looks at the computer to make sure.
it looks like it's recording.
Don't say that, man.
It's
Don't say
doing
that.
stuff. It's
We've
counting.
We've had our technical
Trust me, I
difficulties
paused and saved.
in the past.
We're good.
What's really cool about this, aside from everything we've already said, is that it's a crowd-pleasing IPA, but it's got a lot going on. It's not one note. Like, it's cool to see.
And it's not like all the other IPAs right
it's
now.
unique. Yeah,
It is unique. It's
but I
nice.
could see how this would be really popular as well. Yeah.
If I may, I like the lacing of it.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Dan,
you may.
I haven't said that in a while.
Dan coming in with the lacing, nice.
It is quite beautiful.
Thank you.
Will you share what hops are in this concoction?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different hops throughout the boil, but what you're really picking up on, the aromas and the big like grapefruit citrus qualities it's Falconer's Flight.
Nice.
Falconer's Flight is a big player in this beer, the biggest of players. Heavily dry hop, 2.5 pounds per barrel, roughly. So that's high usage for any brewery standards, but especially for a smaller brewery like ourselves, that's a pretty big dry hop usage rate. Just to put it in general kind of terms, of Falconer's Flight, that's the major player here.
Nice.
Not one of the cool hipster hops you usually hear about.
No, it's not. It's not. But
That's why it doesn't taste like everyone else's IPA.
It's becoming one of my favorites. Yeah, I
Nice.
really like Falconer's Flight. Yeah.
So did you use that because it's what was available, or because you legitimately just love that hop?
Well, so the thing of it was, like, I talked to one of the people that we buy hops from, and I was looking, like I said, we were looking for a certain set of flavor compounds, and looking for kind of like a good end result, end goal, and that was peach. Like, we were looking for like a peachy kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, interesting.
And side note, I'm allergic to peaches. It's one of the only
is that a
things. It's
thing?
actually the only. Yeah, it is. It sucks because I love them, and I used to crush them as a kid. But in my adult years, I developed an allergy to peaches, so I can't eat them anymore. I'm like really allergic to them.
Wow.
The only allergy I know of to date for myself. But
Peaches come from a can.
yeah,
They
They were
put
put
their
there by
own
the
Somebody was
brand
going to do it.
in
Yeah.
a factory downtown.
Peaches cause anaphylactic
but
shock.
even like the good organic, like right off the tree, like all of it, peach
Wow.
juice.
Wow.
So
That
anyway,
sucks. Yeah.
Well, that's
So
why
we're-
I drink smoked beers, because I'm a vegetarian. So that's how I get my bacon.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like researching what hops were supposed to be super peachy, and Galaxy comes up for that one. But I've used that hop a bunch. The next beer we're going to sample has a bunch of that in it. It's not a peachy hop at all. So I already knew I wasn't going to use that, and just talking to some people and talking to one of our hop salesmen. Yeah, try Falconer's Flight. It's really peachy stone fruit kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say stone fruit.
Yeah.
And then when you said peach, like that's all I can get now.
Yeah,
but it's
you
awesome.
actually taste the peach in it now.
Yeah, now that you said it,
Really?
because I was getting a lot more of the stone fruit peach, but yeah.
Okay, well that's good. Then we nailed it.
Yeah, you did. It's a great beer.
Well, thank you. But,
it's almost like juicy fruit gum. If I'm remembering that's what it
There's
actually tastes like.
a fruit that supposedly tastes just like juicy fruit gum.
Oh.
But like the actual like recipe for the gum is like secret, so nobody knows that's what they actually use. I forget what it's called. It's one of those like weird exotic fruits that you have to like import. But apparently like it tastes just like juicy fruit gum. Weird aside.
Yeah, so we brought the Falconer's Flight in thinking it would be really, really peachy. I don't necessarily pick up on it. To me, it's a little bit more citrus forward, grapefruit
Yeah,
forward.
I'm definitely getting more of the citrus side.
But
No,
it's,
I get more of the peach than because I don't get that grapefruit and the orange and the what you get in every other IPA.
And maybe if I may, Bruce, since you're allergic to peaches,
I know where you're going with this.
You've forgotten what they taste like.
Yes. Well, it's funny. We sliced up, I don't know, 70 or 80 pounds of peaches a week or two ago for some barrel aging.
Jackfruit?
And jackfruit. There you go.
That's what
Yep, there it is. I just found it too.
So I ate a very small, tiny piece of a peach about the size of an M&M just to see how good they were. Like, that's how much I like peaches. I'm willing to risk an allergic reaction just to try one. It's not that bad yet. But I mean, it could.
He says relaxed.
Yeah. So I did eat a little piece. I still remember they taste like they're delicious. I just can't eat a lot of them. Next up is the Summer Daisy IPA.
Ooh, I had that earlier.
There you go. Now you get a little more.
It was delicious.
Thank you.
And I'm sure will also be right now.
I hope we're at least
Very
that
nice.
consistent from glass to glass
on
the same night.
It
like
passes.
an hour
It passes.
ago, 2 hours ago.
Oh, the pretzels.
our pretzel is
Turning
coming.
it up to 11.
Thank you so much.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we couldn't come to a brewery and not have a big pretzel, so we did order.
Even
a
though
pretzel.
Steph tried to say no.
She did.
You know I'm going to eat a piece of it, though.
Yeah. This pretzel's really good.
It's making
Yeah.
me thirsty, though.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
in
waiting
luck.
for
So
it.
let's talk more about this beer.
Yeah, this is really nice. I feel like this is more like straightforward IPA, where the last one like had like tons of stuff going on. This is like just
The last
really
one was
good.
not an IPA.
Yeah, but technically was
You're
a
right.
pale.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
hop content. It like really does sort of border that, but like the ABV kind of keeps it in
In the
just,
pale
just
ale.
the next
Yeah.
category down.
Wow.
And I mean, really, in terms of U.S. standards, American beer, these days there's very little difference between the
True.
two.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
kind of becoming the same thing. But yeah, this is an IPA, a little stronger in ABV. Mostly Galaxy. Galaxy's the big player in this one. Dry hop very heavily. Galaxy and Bravo. I don't hear of too many breweries using Bravo as a dry hop, but it's one of my favorites. Like, that is, to me, the biggest bowl of fruit hops, like hop variety that you can use. It doesn't smell or taste like any one fruit to me, but at the same time, it tastes and
just
smells
tropical.
like every fruit to me. Bravo is amazing. To any home brewer out there, use Bravo a lot. It's awesome. You won't be disappointed.
But not too much that it becomes hard to buy.
Yeah, not that much.
What is the ABV on it? Was it
6.7.
something? 6.7.
6.7. As I turn around.
Some of us have notes.
Cool. I have
when
notes
you have
too. I'm
14
just writing
beers
them.
on tap.
Yeah, and there's like ones
Yeah.
that aren't out yet too. That I'm thinking about those ABV.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's not out
I have
yet?
to pay you like $20 to get in one of those barrels.
Oh, it's up to 20. It was 5.
Yeah, that's fine. 25.
You have a good laugh.
Thank you.
It might be my second favorite laugh on this podcast.
Oh, wow. Well, that's saying something.
Ethan's number 1. Ethan will always be my favorite
Yep.
laugh. But you have a good laugh.
Thank you, Stephanie. So there are some beers in the tanks that aren't out yet. There's a black IPA.
What now?
Yeah, that you'll see that in the next few weeks. There's an Oktoberfest, like pretty traditional, like nothing
Can I
reinvented.
get a moss of it?
What's that?
Can I get a moss of it?
Yeah, and it should be out hopefully by our anniversary. So
You
traditional.
need proper glassware. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure we will. We seem to not skimp on that. So Oktoberfest. That'll be a new one.
No, I just
I'm just like looking at my tanks.
Looking at the tanks, like the tanks are going to tell him what's inside of them.
But as I look at them, like I'll know what's in them. So of the beers in fermentation or conditioning right now, those are the two new ones that are currently brewed as of this recording. Next week there might be something new squeezed into one of them. But I mean, it's one of those things. Like we've got about 9 beers right now that we're currently have decided that are going to be like our year-round beers, or are going to try to be our year-round beers. Yeah, it's a lot. So with the amount of tanks we have, part of my day or part of my week or month or however quarter is just trying to keep up with the beers people already drink, and then the other time is trying to come up with new stuff. Just variations on things I've brewed before, or just completely new altogether stuff I've never thought about or done before. That
do you
kind of
guys
thing.
have a pilot system here, or do you brew everything on the big system?
We brew it on the big system now. One little caveat to that is because of the technology in that system, I have the ability to underuse it if I want to. So I can brew a dramatically smaller batch of beer without damaging any of the equipment. Like sometimes with brewing systems, if you underfill them, it's really, really bad for some of the pumps and seals and stuff like that. But this one does have that point where it's not enough liquid in there to make something, but I can almost fill it like a third of the way, like with grains and wort and all those things, and still completely safe for the system. And
it's still a brew day, though.
Yeah, it's still. Oh yeah. It doesn't take any less time at all. I mean, the 5-gallon batch you make in your kitchen, or the big batch they're making in Victory right now takes about the same amount of time. But at least it gives us the ability to fill up some of those smaller 10 hectoliter tanks we have. Just try stuff that, we're not 100% sure on. Not that we're not 100% sure on what we're brewing or what we're doing, but sometimes it's up in the air as how it's going to be received. Some of these obscure, like Belgian and German styles are sometimes intimidating to customers because they just don't know what they are.
What's the weirdest you've gotten with that?
Here at this brewery?
Yeah.
I guess the weirdest we've gotten is we did a strawberry beer.
Whoa.
In like the middle of winter, just to kind of check it out. That was one of the weirder beers. I think the eye candy. That was. I don't know if you had that. You probably didn't because you didn't with your time frame of being here.
Yeah. Plus, the whole living in Philly thing.
Yeah. You got a lot of good beer up there.
I do, but
Philly rules.
But no eye candy.
Now we're moving on to sort of the beer that I think arguably put you guys on the map.
So is this
you are correct.
Piece de
as far as I know, you are correct. Yeah, this the next beer is the Juicy IPA.
This is the one that is in cans.
Yes,
or was and will be.
Yes, was and will be. Both and both. The Juicy IPA. So this is Ever Grain Brewing Company's New England style IPA. So it's kind of we call it a Pennsylvania twist on a New England
Steph and I are doing
IPA.
the same thing. Like,
Yep, it's pretty opaque.
Is it hazy enough?
I just went straight to drinking it.
But there's no floaty bit, so.
No. We try to sell our beers, as properly as we can. And a lot of the haze that comes from this beer isn't necessarily from chunks or turbidity, but it's the particular yeast that we're using is not very flocculent. So even when it's cold and sits there for weeks or a month or something at a very cold temperature, the yeast never really settles out the way other yeast strains will. And they're all kind of particular and a little different in their own regard in terms of flocculation. But this one doesn't flocculate very well.
It just cracks. It still to this day cracks me up that something that historically brewers would be embarrassed to serve
is now like cool.
I know.
The way you want your IPA.
It's at least this type of IPA.
It still hurts a little.
It's interesting. I mean, when I started brewing beer at home, 15, 16 years ago, that wasn't a thing. I mean, even at the homebrew level, I was like, yeah, you want your beer to have some clarity to it. And when I got into the professional side of things, it wasn't even a thing. I mean, we're talking. The Alchemist sort of put it on the map, as we all know, and they did a great job with that. And a lot of breweries up there are doing a really good job with it, and it's caught on. And I'm sure there's breweries in Canada that are making them now. I would guess, because this is a trend.
That Canada or
I've never had a good beer in Canada.
The beauty of you making that noise is you lean so far into the mic to just make that noise.
So what do you guys think? You like it?
It's good. It's good. I mean, as much as like. We kind of like poke fun at like everybody has a New England IPA and everybody wants their beer to be hazy for some inexplicable reason. There are good ones. I mean, this is good. I enjoy this. Like, it tastes good. I am enjoying drinking it. You know?
Thank you. Yeah,
this is good, and I am enjoying drinking it.
This is we've got a couple beers that are close, but this one, since we've opened, has tended to be our most popular, day in and day out. We brew a lot of this one, and we serve and sell a lot of this one.
Yeah.
However, you have proven that you can brew other styles,
Yes.
and you can brew them well.
Thank you.
So if you would like a New England IPA, and it is a good one, I will admit, it's all good.
Thank you.
That's what I feel like. I feel like you need to prove yourself as a brewer and prove that you can make really good classic styles and then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
We're at the other side of what we were talking about earlier. Judge a brewery on its Pilsner. Judge a brewery on its Helles. Because
but most people judge a brewery on
there's
their
nothing
IPA.
to hide.
Just throw more hops in.
It's easier to hide shit in a beer like this.
Sure.
It's easier to hide mistakes in a beer like
absolutely.
this. You know?
Absolutely.
Although you don't have any pepper beers.
Well, there is pepper in the wit beer.
No, I mean like spicy pepper.
Oh, no.
Chili pepper.
Honestly,
peppers.
I've never had too many, and I'm sure there's a bunch that I haven't had, but I've never really had like a really good one or one that I really liked.
You should drink
first
some
of all,
Steph's
you've never
Hopers.
had any beers that I've ever brewed.
That you brewed?
She brews really good chili
80% of them are chili beers.
Well, I want some.
Ghostface Killa is amazing.
You make a beer called Ghostface Killa?
No, Twisted Pine makes it.
Oh, okay.
In Colorado. And I've had it in bottles many times, but I've finally been to the brewery and I had it on tap, and it is hot as shit. And it's me saying that.
Yeah, that's crazy. If she's saying it's hot as shit,
you like the heat.
it's like magma.
Both Crime and Punishment from Stone
I
are
can't
killer.
handle those.
Okay.
Killer. And my brother lives in New Mexico, so every brewery out there makes a great green
Sure.
chili beer. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
I like spicy beers.
Yeah, I've actually never made a chili beer. I will admit that. Not at home, not at any other brewery, not at Ever Grain. Not to say we won't ever, but I've never really used like peppers in beers. I've used peppercorn, a lot of peppercorn.
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of
that's good. I can dig
peppercorn
that.
in the wit beer, the Say Wit.
Yeah.
Be
But-
careful, or she will make you do a brew day with her, and it will be a spicy beer.
Be a pepper beer?
careful.
Well, we haven't done one yet, so we're always open to
You know
new
what?
stuff.
All the
Well, we
times
should
that I
talk.
have brewed in a professional brewery, I've never actually brewed a pepper beer. When I was at Iron Hill, they
did a
let me do a firkin
Yeah.
with habaneros.
Yeah, I was actually going to approach
Boobies.
that.
I was going to say, do you guys do?
that's right. Boobies Brewery. We did the habanero IPA.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. We did.
I take that back.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently, I'm blocking that out.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, Brad and Steve.
Actually, there is a pepper beer that I do enjoy, a local one.
Yes.
The mango habanero.
Yeah, solid beer.
From Zero Day.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Zero Day, right across the river. Our neighbors to the east. Big up to Zero Day Brewing.
Free Will
yeah.
also makes a mango habanero beer. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. They
Safer.
make good beers. I like their beers. But in general, I haven't found too many of them that are my bag. But maybe Stephanie and I will create one.
My
We'll-
pink boots are always itching to get out.
We'll show the world what pepper beers can be.
I will
right.
squeegee.
You are good at squeegeeing.
Dan-
We're
good
all
at
se-
squeegeeing.
We're all set, I think.
as long as he doesn't have to bend too much.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're for the heavy lifting.
I'm a much older man.
I
than the
can
last
lift.
brew.
I'll lift heavy shit and take pictures.
Okay,
Hey, well, we got a team.
perfect. I'll clean spray balls. I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, so to answer your question,
I'll clean anyone's
you're
balls.
going to get
Wait.
up there and clean the spray balls. That's who's going to do it, Stephanie. You didn't know that coming into this.
Well, okay. That's all well and good here, but who has to change the chalkboard with
Oh,
the beers?
touche. The
Because
chalkboard
number
is
one,
higher.
the hell yes is above that.
That's
Well,
that's why it's a year-round
Yeah,
beer.
that's why
So it never has to be erased.
So our one of our employees, one of our bartenders. So first of all, it's on a hoist. So the
okay.
up and down is pretty
Oh,
easy.
it's
All
less
right.
badass.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. No, but it's actually pretty awesome because it's
Although that does make
it's-
perfectly logical sense.
It's simple technology that makes it really, really easy.
It's a simple machine.
Rumor
Yeah,
has it
the
that's how they
pulley
built
is
the pyramids.
literally a
Well,
simple machine.
one of our employees, her name's Nina Hamilton. She's also
Shout out to Nina.
Shout out to Nina. Big up Nina. She's the yoga instructor here.
Oh,
she's-
sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet.
so she does the yoga.
So
So,
she is badass.
she's really badass. But she's also our in-house chalk artist. So all the the Wish You Were Beer.
Is that on her business card?
It should be.
She needs business
It should
cards.
be on her resume. I mean,
Bartender, yoga instructor, and in-house.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Chalk
Chalk
artist.
artist.
Yeah. Mother of two. I mean, she's got a pretty big resume. But
Get
yeah,
that girl
so,
a business
so
card.
she does all the chalk work. And she takes it really seriously. I mean, she cares about it, and she's into it. And
It's very well designed, the chalkboard.
Thanks. I had nothing to do with it, but thank you for the compliment. But I am the guy that gets to hoist it every time we put something new on. I get to
that
lower it.
That should be on your business card. Chalkboard hoister.
Chalkboard hoister.
Chalkboard. That's hard to say when you've been drinking.
Chalkboard hoister.
Yeah. It's just hard to say in general.
That's true.
Let's agree to that.
Toy boat. Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
it's
And there it goes.
So I want to talk about some upcoming events that Ever Grain will be a part of.
Sure.
On August 19th, they will be at the Gettysburg Brew Fest.
Yes.
August 26th, the Central PA Crab Beer and Wine Fest.
Yeah.
September 23rd, Rotary Club of Mechanicsburg North Annual Beer and Wine Festival.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. September 30th, the 20th Anniversary Kennett Brewfest. October 28th, the Pottstown Brewfest. And November 3rd, Autos and Ales, which is a great event. And somewhere within there will be, I guess, September 22nd will be some sort of anniversary gathering.
Keep your eyes peeled. We're getting all the final deets finalized right now, but it's, we're celebrating. We're pumped. We're happy.
And don't forget about yoga here.
Yoga?
Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 10 to 11 a.m. And if you want to check out Ever Grain, you guys, I'm sure, are on all the social medias.
Absolutely. At Ever Grain Beer? Hold on.
Verifying.
Yes. Certainly on Instagram, or on Facebook, just look up Ever Grain. And on Instagram,
Evergreen Beer.
Evergreen Beer.
Yep.
See, you knew. You doubted yourself, but you knew.
Yeah. We're on Twitter as well.
There's a history of brewers not doing well with the social media.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
Collusion.
I would say
Twitter.
I'm the best at it of all the brewers of the social media of the actual brewers.
Good.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm in the middle.
No, it's normally brewers are like,
Comfortably in the middle.
I just got a smartphone last week kind of deal. Like, what is Twitter?
No, that's just Steve
typically it's me on my calculator all day, or me on my conversion website trying to figure out German stuff.
That's way more
in
important.
the U.S. stuff.
I watch the internet.
I will say on the event though, to your last topic, we're coming up your way on next Saturday to the West Reading French Fry and Beer Festival.
Oh, no way.
Sweet. Yeah, we're going to be up there.
So to Podcast Land tomorrow.
Yeah, if you're listening,
If you're listening live,
it's the
go
12th.
tomorrow.
It's the 12th. It's not this weekend.
Yeah, so when
comes out
this
the
is
11th.
released, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Come see myself and Nina Hamilton, the chalkboard. artist,
she'll be there?
Yoga extraordinary. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sweet, cool.
Yeah, we're gonna be up there eating fries, pouring beers.
I'd come and eat fries and drink beer with you, but I'll be in Florida. Sorry.
Oh, I was hoping you guys would make it out.
If you want to learn more about Evergreen, go to all those places or go to beerbusterspodcast.com or facebook.com/beerbusterspodcast.
Yep.
Or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BeerBusters.
Boom.
We post on all the socials, and I know how to Instagram live now.
You
Thank
are
you.
welcome.
Awesome.
You're so good at it.
Thank you.
That's
I am
pretty
no
awesome.
longer ancient.
Hey, and if you've listened to the podcast all the way to this point, to the bitter end,
Thank you.
you're
I'm
a huge
sorry.
fan, and we would
Thank
really
you, Joe
Hi,
Man.
Joe Man.
Hi, Joe Man. Good to see you. We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us
Yes,
on your
please.
podcast app of choice. That would help us get in front of more eyeballs and spread the Beer Busters love
And eardrums.
to more people.
And fast ears.
Yeah.
Fast ears.
So that'd be cool. So just give us a little review. Preferably like more than 2 stars would be nice. But whatever, it's your opinion. It's up to you.
Bruce, this has been really awesome, I have to say.
This has been awesome. I thank you guys for coming and talking to me and to Evergrain, and this
course,
has been
man.
great. This is really cool.
It's
We
been a lot of
really
fun.
appreciate it.
Unlike Dan, I've been here pretty often
You
when I'm
also
ever in the
live
Harrisburg
closer.
area. It's still an hour drive, but whenever I'm in the area, I make sure to stop here because
course.
I always enjoy checking out what you have new on tap, and if nothing new, then the pills, because it's awesome. We were really excited to finally meet you at Little Big Beer, so it's nice to have a little more time to get to know you
This
and
has
Evergreen.
been great. This has been a really good day at the brewery. Really good just experience. This is awesome.
And once we're done recording, I have a crisp $25 bill for you.
It may be up to $30 bill now. It keeps increasing.
Yes.
A fresh Grover Cleveland. He's on the 25, right?
No, it's Dewey.
Oh, Dewey. Sorry. Yeah, fresh Dewey.
Buchanan's on the 30.
Dewey defeats Truman.
Obscure president jokes. They're
Yes.
the best.
Oh, God. That's a sign that...
On that note,
Yeah, that's a sign
It's time to
that
pause
we're
and
nerds
save
and we've
and end.
drank too much. Or maybe just enough. Who knows?
just enough, yes.
I think just enough.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this does bring us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters. Seriously, thank you for having us out here, Bruce.
Thank
It's
you,
so
guys.
much fun.
Thank you. Seriously, cheers. Thank you.
To anyone who's never been here, you need to change that immediately. I mean,
For sure.
the year anniversary is coming up in September.
Great
If
time.
you're listening to this after September, just still come anyway, because it's awesome here.
Come for Bada Boom.
Yes. Yes. Which has been written down.
It's on the paper. I love it.
Well, I am Dan Baker, joined, as usual, by my co-host and brewerologist,
Steph Hefner.
and, of course, the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
I have a little more time to vent than I thought, but let's not forget, no squids were harmed in the making
Not
of this
one.
episode.
Never.
We are
Never.
squid
Single
enthusiasts. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, speaking of leotards,